This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to GoOnlineTrainings.com. We had seen what is a view. We also discussed last 1 week why store procedures and how store procedures can be called, right? And we also knew difference between view and store procedures. Views will have only single query, no insert, update, delete statements can be, there inside a view, and no programmability, no, input and output parameters, nothing. But if you wanted to write complex programming and input and output parameters, programming input values and output values, if you wanted to provide, that is where we're going to be using store procedures, right? But even though store procedures can do each and everything, but why still user-defined functions are available? So let us understand where exactly we're going to be using user-defined functions. Need, types of functions, and features. So we knew that to centralize the code, we have only three features: views we knew, store procedures we knew, and today we're going to be talking about UDFs, simply called as functions. Okay, UDF means user-defined functions, or simply you can call them as functions. Now, all these things we discussed, let us understand need for the functions. Call the function as part of the select, insert, update, delete statement. Do not want to change the state of the table. No insert, update, delete. Perform arithmetical operations on the given data. To get the data using parameters, views do not support parameters. Functions are called as parameterized views. Clear? For example, where exactly we going to be using a function, let us understand. Okay. So the first problem with the stored procedure, okay, stored proc you can create, and how can we call the stored procedure? Stored proc can be called with the help of exec statement, exec stored proc name. Okay, this is what is the disadvantage of a stored procedure. Okay, so stored proc cannot be called as part of select. For example, I cannot call select stored proc name, so this is not going to work. It is invalid. Only because of this reason, only because of this reason, we have today functions. What is the meaning? I wanted to write SQL and T-SQL there, but I should be able to write one program, and this program I wanted to call, okay? I wanted to call this program as part of what? Select, okay? So you can call a function. How a function can be called? A get date, right? So get date is the function. So how are we calling? We are going to be calling as part of select, right? So function is also one more, UDF is also one more programming. You can write SQL and T-SQL. Here also we can include SQL and T-SQL. And the problem here is that we should be able to call only as part of exec statement. Clear? So as part of select, or as part of insert, or as part of update, as part of delete, you will not be able to call a stored procedure because of this reason only. Only this is the reason why people are going to use a stored, user defined functions. They should be able to write SQL and T-SQL and call the function. Okay, call the function as part of select, or you can call the function as part of update, delete, and any other thing. Select, update, delete, whatever you wanted to do it. Clear? Insert also. So so in these cases we should be able to call this UDF. One more thing UDF cannot do, stored procedure can do each and everything, but inside UDF, no insert is allowed. Remember this. No update is allowed and no delete is allowed. That means what you can do if you wanted to perform any kind of only calculations. Okay, for example, I wanted to perform a employee basic salary $1,000 employee, provident fund, something employee allowances, something else, employee tax. So using these, individual data, I wanted to create a pay slip. Clear? Read the data, do some calculations. Read the data, do some calculations, and the program particularly I wanted to call as part of select. So that is when we going to be using UDF. Otherwise, the same program can be created as a stored procedure only. But if you wanted to perform insert, update, delete operations as part of the function, it is not allowed. Okay. So in that case, also you should be able to perform store procedures. Am I clear? So when should I use a view? When should I use a stored procedure? When should I use a function? If you wanted to know, let us read this. Okay. A view can have a single query. Inside a view, no insert, no update, no delete statements are allowed. Can be called as part of select, insert, update, delete. Parameters are no. If you take a stored procedure, multiple queries, multiple insert, update, delete statements can be, given. SP can have everything, right? So cannot be, called as part of insert, update, delete statement. Parameters as input and output parameter, and a written statement can be used to return whether the called stored proc is successfully executed or not. Function, multiple queries, but no insert, no update, no delete inside functions can be called as part of insert, update, delete statements. Parameters as only input, there is no output parameter. Return statement is used to perform to get the data from function. Clear? So here we're going to be using output parameters to get the data from stored procedure. But whereas in function, we don't have any output parameters, we must use return statement to get the data from the function. Okay, it is the same as output parameter, but inside store proc return is something different. Inside function return is equivalent to output parameter. Clear? Programming is no caching plan and everything is, no here, and because of no caching plan it is bit slow. Programming is yes, programming yes, caching plan yes, caching plan here also, in latest versions it is implemented faster and faster. But call a view, select star from the view name, call a function, execute stored proc name, call function, select function name, right? So call view inside another view, yes. Call proc inside a proc, yes. Call function inside a proc, yes. Call function inside a function, yes. Cannot call proc inside a function. Exception handling, no. Exception handling, yes and yes. Exception handling means try catch blocks that can be implemented in both cases. So remember this. Transactions, no. Transactions, yes, and transactions, no. Transaction means, begin, commit and roll back. We discussed earlier, right? So that kind of a statements cannot be implemented inside a view, but here we should be able to have them. So remember this, okay? Transaction, begin tran and tran, so that cannot be implemented as part of your functions. Clear? So functions body, you cannot have any kind of a, insert, update, delete statements. Okay, function only to get the data, do some calculation. Using a function, you will not be able to insert the data into a table. Remember that. I can create a stored proc, right? So use ibank go. So create table employee. Okay, so employee ID integer and employee name varchar. Simple example I'm just taking. So let me drop a table. Already we have a table there. Let me drop it. Let me recreate one table. So I wanted to create a proc USP insert emp values. Okay. And as begin end, you should be able to insert the data. So what is the data I wanted to insert? The data is employee integer. So let me say employee ID, which is integer. EMP name, say varchar 100. So I wanted to insert the data into the employee table with the help of a stored procedure. Clear? So we can write insert into EMP values, and you should be able to say employee ID. Sorry, this is the one, comma, employee name. That's it. Close the bracket. So this is how we should be able to, create or use a insert statement inside your proc. Clear? So proc can be called execute. Proc name is this, and you can have number one name is called Leela, right? So she is the first employee. I can just execute like this. So I'm able to insert the data. Let me read the data from the table itself. So we can do all insert, update, delete statements. So Leelavati. So how do we insert the data using a store procedure? Means this is how you're going to be inserting. Clear? So tomorrow I want to insert some other in employee. At a time, only one employee we can insert, not multiple employees, right? If you wanted to insert multiple employees, you can insert, but multiple times the same thing need to be called like this. Okay. So first one we have done it. Now let me insert some more, 3, 4, 5. If you wanted to insert multiple values, so this is how multiple times stored proc need to be called. Usman Khan, right? The next employee is Simrit, right? Next employee is Nitish. So we can have Nitish K, right? So we can have multiple times stored procedure can be executed. So there is no issue at all. So you should be able to insert the data like this with the help of a stored proc. If you wanted to read the data, that is also possible with the help of stored proc. But this kind of a insert statement cannot be given as part of user-defined functions, as part of views as well. Clear? So you need to understand. So you can have uh, you know insert, you can use stored proc function, but function cannot be having a insert, update, delete statements. So everything can be given in the stored procs only, right? With the help of a stored proc, you can insert the data, you can update the data, you can modify the data. Tomorrow you wanted to update some name, right? For that also there is a there is one more stored proc, because if you wanted to update can be done with the help of a stored proc. Insert this one, update employee. So what is that you wanted to update? So I would like to update which data you would like to employ. What is the new value, new name, right? Because you have only two columns, and what is that new name that you wanted to update? Okay, so here you have to write update. So update emp set. What is the column name? Column name is name, right? So here the column name is name. So is equivalent to what is that you wanted to update? The new name, the old name. I would like to update this, where employee ID is equivalent to for whom you need to update. For this fellow, I have to update. That's it. So it is a simple a proc that you can create like this. So tomorrow, if you wanted to apply, now it is Usman Khan. Instead of Usman Khan, I would like to update something, or Nitish K, I would like to update something K, right? So you should be able to call stored proc and update the data, right? So exec stored proc name is this, right? So employee ID, Usman Khan is, let us say, Usman Khan is 3. Wrongly, the Usman Khan name is written. I wanted to update, number 3 with new value, let us say Salman Khan. So this was the actual value I was supposed to give, but wrongly I gave that. So I would like to update Usman Khan to this. So this was the new value. So whatever be the value I'm giving it here, it will go. And for whom? For number 3. So this value is going to go there. Are you able to understand? So everything is possible with the help of this guy, and you should be able to see the date, right? So now it has become Salman. But actual insert is going on, update is going on, this, and this is a wrapper. Wrapper means the extra thing. So these are the input parameters, these are the output parameters, right? So a stored proc can be used to insert the data, to update the data, to delete the data. Tomorrow, I wanted to delete a row. Okay, so delete a row is also can happen with the help of a proc only. So I told you, right, you should not go directly to the table and delete data, update data, insert data. The insert, delete, update operation has to happen either using a view or using a stored procedure, right? But using a function, no, right? So sorry, using a stored proc, using a function, using a view, you can do that. But the problem is that inside the function, you can have insert, update, delete statement, but view and functions, you cannot have insert, update, delete statements. Now, I wanted to delete a row, delete employee values. So here I need to provide only which employee you wanted to delete. So that's it. Only that information you need to write. Delete from the employee where employee ID equals to 1. That's it. Okay. So if you wanted to delete something, you simply press that, supply that value. I would like to, delete these employees no more with us. So what we are going to be doing, we are going to call the SP, right? So execute SP name. SP name is this. Stored proc name is this, and delete number 3 or number 4 employee. Okay, you can delete like this. So we can delete only one employee. So now 0 employees deleted because already we have that employee. It is got deleted. That's it. Okay. So inserting, updating, deleting data can be done with the help of a stored proc very, very easily. Clear? So inside views, you cannot have insert, update, delete statement. Inside a function also, we cannot have insert, update, delete statement. View and function. View can have a single, you can have a single a query, right? And the function also can have a query and programming as well. Programming means if and else, but you cannot have insert, update, delete statements inside a function. That's what you need to understand. And one more thing you should know clearly, I think I have explained. I wanted to explain this once more. So view is calling another view. Yes. A view is calling a stored procedure. No. A view is calling a function. Yes. A stored proc can call a view. Yes. A stored proc can call another stored proc. Yes. A stored proc can call another function. Yes. A function can call a view. Yes. A function is calling a stored proc is no. A function is calling a function is yes, right? So caller means who's calling, calling means who's being called. Clear? In those two cases, people would ask you, function, inside a function, can I have a stored proc? The answer is no, right? Inside a view, can I call a stored proc? No. So view can have only single query, not even second query also is allowed. Subqueries are allowed, ranking functions, everything is allowed. Clear? So this is very, very important thing that you need to understand. Am I clear? So one more thing we should know, temporary tables can be created inside your stored procedure. But what about in, views? Can I have temp tables in UDF, okay, in SQL Server? So read this. So no temp tables in functions. Okay. However, you can have a use table variables. Remember this. So this is also one more important question. So in many times people are asked this. Can I have, let me give it here itself. So difference between this we understood clearly, and the next one is, this is one interview question. Okay. Interview question is, can I have temp tables in functions? Answer is no. Note, we can use table variable if you wanted to store some data temporary in temporarily. Table variables were discussed, right? So temp table versus table variables. Can I have temp tables in functions? The answer is no, because many times this question is asked. Clear, guys? So that's what you need to know. So what is the need for the function? I think hope you're able to understand. The functions are there because stored proc cannot be called as part of select, insert, update, delete statement. Because of that purpose, we are calling one. We are using a function. Let me give you one beautiful example. So this will tell you clearly where exactly we can have a function rather than a stored proc. Okay, I'll give you one real-time example. So, example, okay, generate automatic vehicle registration numbers at the time of inserting a row into a table. Generate a seat numbers for a movie at the time of inserting a row into the table. So what is the meaning? The meaning is very, very simple. I'll tell you the example. So how a function can be created. Create a function name. Only input parameter, there is no output parameter. Returns is used to return the data from the function, right? So as a begin, and you can have scalar, means a single value or set of rows. The function can be created like this. Function can be called as part of select function name, right? Now, where exactly we can use a function? I will give you one beautiful example. Please concentrate on this. For example, there is a customer table and some ID column is there. Okay. Seat number and customer name, right? And email ID and some phone number. So customers are buying a movie tickets using online portal. You assume like this, okay? Customers are buying what? A this one ticket, seat number, say movie ticket. So what happens? So this is automatic number. You think so? Customer, let us say Usman is going to buy a movie ticket. Some email ID and some phone number. Okay, some phone number Usman is given. The theater is going to be having seat numbers like this. For example, if you go to theater, this is what is your theater, and this is where the screen is, right? So you have a lot of seats this side and this row, right? Like that. We have a lot of seats are arranged in the theater. So, so everybody will have a seat number like this, right? You will have a seat number. So like that, we have the seat number is going to start with A1. So this is A2, like that. It is A12. Okay. Now here it is going to start with B1, right? Again, the seat number is B2, B3, B4. Like that, we have seat numbers. This is ends with B12. Clear? Again, I have one more row. Again, so this block is going to be start with C1, C2, like that. The seat numbers are going to start with A1 and end with A12. Once A12 is over, again B1, B2, B3, like that A, B, C up to K it is available. So in the theater, okay. So I wanted to get the seat number automatically. I should not, say A1 here automatically. So if the nobody is there, the seat number, to be A1, the next number would be A2. Okay, next number would be A3. Automatically, I should get the seat number allocation. So this number can be automated 1, 2, 3. Like that, we can have a automation number when you create a identity column, right? So when you create identity column, we can get 1, 2, 3, 4. But what we are saying, we need to get the seat number automatically A1, A2, A3, A4. Once it is A12 is over, then again for the next customer, for example, I joined there. I wanted to buy a ticket. Now for me, I wanted to automatically get a seat number B1. It is an automatic number. Okay. So to achieve this, because to achieve this, we can create a program. The program could be a stored procedure. The program could be a function, right? Because it is, you need to achieve this only in the programming. Otherwise, you will not be able to get this automatically done, because we supply only this data. This number is automatic. This number is, I wanted to have the data automatically. So I need to write a program. So what is the program I wanted to write? So that logic you need to think of. Okay, that logic you need to think of. First, you have to go to this table. You need to go to this table. If nothing is there, if no data is available, you need to give the first number as A1. Clear? If there is a number, if there is a number, get that number and see what is the number we got it. We got A1. Okay. If it is less than 12, if it is less than 12, what you need to do, you divide the number into two parts, A1 and A1. So if it is a number less than a 12, so what you do, you simply go and increment it to 1 plus 1 equals to 2. So that is how you're going to be getting the next number. Okay, if it is a and 12, already a12 is available here, so you need to get the maximum number, that is a12, right? So divide a into 12. If it is equal to 12, so what you do, you simply change it to b1 and send the number. If it is less than 11, if it is this one, so simply you increment to 2 and you get the same number. So this is the logic I wanted to write inside a programming with the help of if and else. If read the data from the table, if no data available, return A1. If there is a data, get the data. What is the maximum number in this? A12. A12 is less than 12, or it is equivalent to 12. Or it is equivalent to 12. So equivalent to 12 means you need to see this number and start with B1. Okay. So next one, you read the number. B1, it is lesser than 12 is true. You simply increment and you get the number, and B2, you should be able to insert. Clear? So this kind of a logic I have to create. So where I can create, programming can be implemented. Either you can write a stored procedure. So I can have a stored proc here. Okay. So I can have a stored proc here. So what I do, I say create a proc. Now USP, you can say get seat number. So get a seat number. No input is needed. So begin and end. It is going to be going to the table. So what is the table? It can go select. So for example, there is a table called select spelling, whether we have any data or not. Okay. So we write if exists. Okay. If you have some data inside this table, select top one star, get one row from this table. From which table? Let us say customer table. That's it. If you get at least one row, we don't have a customer table, but if you have at least one row, so we'll say not exist. So if you have some data, it will become it will become true. Not means it will become false. Okay, if you don't have any data, so what you need to do, declare one variable. Declare one variable called seat number as a character, you know. So B12, B1, it is maximum 3, right? So it will be 3 because A1, A2, A3. So I wanted to declare one. And if you don't have any data, if you no customers are there, so no customers. That means you return, if no customers means get the first number. Okay, get A1. So if no customers are available, then I say set seat number is equivalent to, what is the seat number? Seat number is equivalent to A01. Okay, else, now we need to write else block and begin and write complete programming. Okay, if no customers are available, the first one will be A1 automatically, the stored proc will get it. Clear? So then what I'm planning to do, I wanted to, if some customers are available, for example, uh, some customer is already available in this, some phone number. If the customers are available, you need to find out the maximum seat number. Okay, if the customers are available, select max of seat number. From which table? From customer table. So max of seat number means it is going to be sorting this data. Okay, it is going to be sorting this data. So for example, what is the, for example, two customers already blocked something. Okay, so we have one more girl, Ramya, they bought this tickets. Okay, so what is the maximum ticket number? So you need to find out where id is equivalent to select max of id from the customer table. Okay, so all these things you should know. So this is a subquery. This will get executed first. So this will get you a 2. Okay, but I don't need 2. I need this number. Okay, so I will be able to get the seat number, or you can say simply seat number. Okay, this will give you a max seat number. So you need to find out what is the maximum and then go and get the seat number. So select seat number where employee ID where ID equals to 2. So this will get executed. So this will give you 2 and this will give you seat number. So this one I wanted to have this, okay, in this only. In this, so what I do, I wanted to put seat number. So this will be a maximum seat number, not seat number. Let me declare one more variable called max seat number. Okay, so this max seat number will be going to this. So after I get what is the maximum seat number, so I will be able to declare one more variable inside the ram, right? So it is max seat number, that is A2. Now what I do, I wanted to divide A and a 2 and put them into two different boxes. Clear? So A has to go to here and 2 has to go to here, and declare two more values and try to you know do that. So I got this value. Now what I wanted to do, I wanted to split the values. Okay, so how to split the values? Again, we need to use select substring. Lot of program I need to write. Okay, substring, and you need to supply this max seat number and 1 comma 1. What is the meaning? Read first letter and get the first letter. Okay, and here I wanted to say here, not the number, letter, first letter. Okay, L LE letter. So first letter, whether it is A or B, we don't know. We need to get that. the first letter is going to go and it is going to be here. Okay, first letter I'm able to get from here, and the letter is going to go in this. So the A is going to go here. Okay, now next the number is also you have to divide, and that number purpose, let me get the number. Okay, so for that purpose, the next letters you need to read it. So you need to get the number in the numerical format. So number, okay. So number, so let me put it as a tiny int or integer, something like that we can include. So from the substring, go to the second one. From second, read two numbers. What is the meaning? Sometimes you may be getting A01 and A02, A12. You have to read this data. So two numbers. Start with two and read two letters. Where should I start? Start with the first letter and read only one letter. That is the meaning of this. Clear? Start with first letter and read only one letter. Start with the second letter and read two letters. Clear? So you should be able to get 01. So 01 you will get it. So that is going to go here. Okay. But number is a tiny integer. You need to cast and convert. Cast into, get this number into what? As tiny int. Clear? So now this 01 will become 1. The 1 is here. Clear? So you need to say if it is, then you can write if and else condition. If the number is okay. So if the condition is, if the first letter is A is equivalent to A and the number is, so you need to write this condition, number is less than or equals to 11. Okay, or less than 11, right? So if it is a 12, then we'll have a problem. If it is less than or equals to 11, then what I do, I have to increment. I have to increment it because it is less than. So this is a 2 here, right? So we have a 2 here, right? So you need to increment this. If it is less than this, then you need to increment 2 or 3. If that is the case, then you say begin and end. Okay, we need to write some conditions here. If it is something like this and something like this, clear? You go, and if it is less than this, then you need to increment the date. Get the next number. Okay, get the next number. How to get the next number? So number is, so the number is already 2, right? So set number is equivalent to number plus 1. Okay, so number plus 1, already we have 2, 2 plus 1 3, 3 will be the number here. Okay, you are going to be incrementing because already you have 2, 2 plus 1 equals to 3. Now this value will be overwritten. Okay, so it will be overwritten by 3. You have already a, you have a 3, that you need to get it. So now after doing this, what you do, you need to assign the value to the seat number. So already we declared a seat number. Now, if you don't have any data, this one, okay? If you have some data, seat number is, blank. It will not be there anything, right? So all the data will get like this. Now what we need to do, we need to set seat number is equivalent to your letter, first letter plus first letter is already A. This is the first letter already A. Concatenate plus this number. So this number cannot be concatenated. Why? Because this is a letter, this is a number. You need to convert cast as varchar. Clear? So this is A. You have incremented A to 3. Now your seat number will be A3. Clear? So this is how you should be able to get this. So the seat number will be like this. Else again you need to write the complete code. So you're writing everything inside where? Inside a stored procedure. Inside a stored proc. Now, what I would like to do, I would like to, create one table with the help of a stored proc. I should be able to call this and insert the data. Now the problem, stored proc, when I call, it is fine, it is going to execute. So blah, 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 you're going to be writing. If else clause also you need to write and complete this code. Now, how do I insert the date? How do you insert the table data? For example, now insert a row into a table. So normally what we do, insert into a customer table and values. Clear? So customer ID one is automatic number, right? So this is automatic number. So this is also I need to get. Now customer name, email ID. Now can I insert, can I write a stored proc name here? Can I write a stored proc name here? So can I say exec stored proc name, comma, the next one is, email ID, phone number and email ID. Clear? So phone number, email, employee number, say some name and some email ID, abc@gmail.com and some phone number. Okay, this is my phone number. Can I execute like this? You will not be able to execute. Why? Because inside a insert statement, a stored proc cannot be called, right? So exec stored proc name, it cannot be done because even though you're writing a beautiful programming, I will not be able to call the proc inside my this one. So what if instead of creating a proc, you create a function? Okay, you create a function and everything is fine. So at the time of creating, you give empty brackets. That means it is not going to take anything. So these are as it is. These are as it is. You're writing the complete program. Now beautiness is here. So you will be able to call like this. So what is the function name? Create a function. Let us say get seat number. So that is what is my function, or simply the function name is called seat number. So I will be able to use this, copy the function name. Now simply function will be like this, right? So you can call the function as part of insert. Now what is the advantage? The function is called as part of this. Now already we have A2 when you're supplying this data. Okay, this data, when I'm supplying, what will happen? So this data is going to go here and this email ID will come here and this phone number will come here because I'm inserting, and since it is automatic number, it will come. So this value is going to be inserted or going to be retrieved with the help of a function. Clear? So function easily can get the next value, that is A3, right? So what is the advantage of a function? Because a function can have a programming. Function can have a programming like this. We can create a lot of if and else. And the beautiness is that the function can be called as part of insert. Clear? Tomorrow I would like to insert the data. So this data you can write like this query can be written like this. So inside the query I'm able to call what? A function. Clear? This function is automatically implemented with the code and it is going to be getting lot of you know programming that you have written. So that is getting your seat number automatically. Clear? So if you create a stored proc, that is also well and good. But the problem is that tomorrow the stored proc cannot be called as part of your insert. So tomorrow what you can do, if you wanted to create a proc, you can create a proc USP, okay, insert customers, okay, customers. You can have all these things as begin and end, okay. So what you can do, you can have this one as input parameter, this one as input parameter, this one as input parameter. Now you should be able to call this here, right? So you can have a at the rate customer name, let us say character 40 or varchar 40. Now email ID, so varchar 100. Now phone number, let us say character 20. Okay, now what you're going to be giving, you're going to be giving like this, you're going to be putting like this, and you're going to be giving the data like this. Now what happens? So you're calling the function inside a stored proc, right? So when you call this, when you create this, it will get created. Seat number is not a recognized function because I have to use db1 dot something like this. Okay, so we have created a proc. The proc is calling a function. The function is automatically returning A1, A2, A3, A4, B1, B2, B3, B4, something like this. Now, this is the advantage. So the function can be called insert, and this insert statement is called within the stored proc. So that is the advantage when you create a function sometimes, because anyhow you're not performing any kind of a insert, update, delete statements inside your this one, right? Inside your function. So we're creating a function to return the seat number, and inserting is going on. Insert is going on where? Inside the stored proc, because we know a function cannot insert the data into a table. You cannot say create a function and you cannot have an insert statement inside the function. It will fail because the function cannot be used to insert the data into a table, to update the data into a table, to delete the data into a table. Function always gets the data. Function is there to read the data. So here we are reading the data every time, selecting and setting the variables. We never inserted anywhere. Clear? Function cannot be used to insert the data in a table, to update the data in a table, to to delete the data, update the data, insert the data in a table. So function is there to read the data from the tables. That's it, right? So we have read some data. We, with the help of a stored proc, we are inserting the data, right? Insert statement, we have used this. So this is the advantage of a function over stored procedures. Where exactly we should use a stored proc? Everywhere. 99% of the time we write stored procs only, but a few times we are going to be using a function. Give me one example where you have allocated this kind of a function. Means this is one of the example. Clear? So where I have created a separate function, the function is going to be returning a seat number automatically. The function I'm calling inside my stored procedure, or the function I'm calling inside my insert statement. Clear? So this is what you need to tell in your interviews clearly. So tell me one example where we are going to be using only functions but not the stored proc. So call the function as part of select, insert, update, delete statement. Do not want to change the state of the table. No insert, no update, no delete statements can be given as part of your views, as part of your functions. So remember, clear? Perform only arithmetical operations, means plus minus a set operation. So that's it. Okay. To get the data using a parameters, views do not support parameters. Functions are called as parameterized views. Why? Let me create a view. So how can we create a view? Create a view get customers as select star from the account master table and where branch ID is equivalent to branch BR1. Clear? So let me create this. I can create, there is no issue. Now, can I supply this value automatically with the help of a input parameters inside a view? You cannot. If you wanted to create one more view for BR2, you have to create a view like this. Okay? Customers knew this is for BR2. You need to supply like this, create one more view. So how can we call? Calling a view is very, very simple. Select star from the view name. Okay. So this is how you should be able to call. Okay. But now the problem is that we cannot supply this value automatically. Okay. So what normally we do instead of creating a view, so this was the view statement, but instead of a creating a view, because view does not allow programming, so I convert this into a function. So create a function and a supply input parameters here. Okay. Now what I do, I'll say a branch ID, which is a character, let us say 3. Okay. Now I supply this value here as begin and end. Create a function, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be supplying like this as begin, blah, blah, blah. Now what happens? Once I create, I will be able to call this function. So view can be called as part of select, even function also can be called as part of select. So here I need to only supply the input parameter like BR1. So BR1 data, I can get it. If I need BR2 data, I will be able to supply. Let me remove this. So this is the function got created. I will be able to get BR2 data. So BR2 data, I can get it. So this is actually a view. Why? Because this is a query inside a view, right? So people will say views can be called as part of select, even functions can be called as part of select. But when you supply input parameter, this is what is called a parameter. Parameterized views are called functions. That is also one more thing. Functions are called, okay? Functions are called as parameterized views. Views means view will have a select statement. Even function will have a select statement. View can be called as part of select. Function also can be called as of select. Only extra thing that we are adding a parameter. So this is the extra thing to the function. And you have a one query. That's it. Okay. So query means query can be given in the part of say views or functions as well, right? Because functions are going to read the data from the tables. Functions cannot write the data directly, or views cannot write the data directly into the table. Clear? So parameterized views are called functions because you can call the view function as part of the select statement, insert statement. These are the few things that you need to understand. What a function cannot do. Do not want to change the state of the table. That means there are two rows. I would like to insert one more row with the help of a function. No. So using a function's body, you cannot do that. But function can be called as part of insert. But inside a function, you cannot have insert, update, delete. So remember this statement clearly, right? So we have three types of functions are available: scalar, inline, and multi-statement. Let me tell you the functions. Did you understand what is the need for the function? If not, I'll tell you. So, what are the types of the UDFs I have? Types of functions. So, types of functions. Functions are called as what? User defined functions, UDFs. So, how many we have? Compulsory interview question. Difference between function and stored procedure. Delete and truncate. OLTP to OLAP. Primary key to foreign key. Primary key to unique key. Clustered index, non-clustered index. All these are very, very important questions. Okay. So types of functions. We have scalar function and we have multi-statement table valued functions. So one is called scalar spelling, scalar function. The second one is multi-statement table valued function. There are two types of functions. Scalar means which can return a single value. That's it. Which can return a single value called scalar function. For example, what is my get balance? So when you write a program, this will show you the balance. Okay, so get date is going to be giving you today's date and time, single value. So any function is giving you a single value. That is what is called a scalar function. Any function is giving a table. Table means set of rows and columns. Okay. If any function is giving you a set of rows and columns, that means multi-statement table valued function. Clear? So here we going to be having, so we can have SQL plus we can have what T-SQL. T-SQL means so all programming if and else is allowed. So here also we have SQL. SQL means insert, update, delete is not. Okay, SQL and T-SQL is allowed. So in both cases. But the only thing is that which will give you a single value, this will give you multiple values. Okay, and so we have one more category that is called inline functions. Okay, one more type we have inline functions. Okay, inline functions are nothing but parameterized views. Okay, so inline functions are called as parameterized views. Why? Because views, we have one more category called inline functions. These are parameterized views. Views will have a single query. Here we have only single query. No more query is allowed. Okay. And only input parameter is allowed and no programming is allowed here. No programming, no T-SQL is allowed. And one more query is also not allowed. So in multi-statement and scalar, you can have multiple queries and multiple T-SQL programming. So inline functions, it is simply a query, single query, and no T-SQL, no more queries, nothing. So this is called inline function. Inline function is similar to your parameterized view. View cannot be called as part of select. View can be called as part of select. This also can be called as part of select. All scalar, multi-statement, everything. So, but only one extra thing is that a parameter we are allocating, we are giving. If the inline function is giving you a single value, then it will become scalar inline function. If it is giving you set of rows, means it will become a multi-statement table valued function. So programming is allowed only in this. Programming is allowed only in this, right? So no programming is allowed here, remember this. So what is the inline function means, which is a parameterized view, because view always takes single query. Inline function also will take a single query, but what is the extra feature? You can have input parameter to that query, that's it, nothing. Okay, so whatever the view that we have written, so that is the inline function only. Clear? So how many types of functions we have? Scalar function, where you can write SQL, T-SQL, multi-statement table valued function, SQL and T-SQL, and we can have inline functions, that is a single query. So clear? So this function may return a single value or multiple values. So this is what you need to understand. Total, there are three, you know, functions. One is called scalar, second one is called this one, third one is called this one. Okay, multi-statement table valued and inline functions. Clear? How to create a function if you wanted to know. So this is the creating a function. Create a function, function name, input parameters, returns data type, and as begin, blah, blah, blah. You can write if and else, whatever you would like to write, you can have it. So this is how we can have a function. Function can be called in multiple ways in which you can call the functions, right? So we can call the function in DML and select, delete, everywhere we can have the functions. So that we'll see how to create a function, how to call the functions in tomorrow's class. Clear, guys? So functions are very, very easy to understand. You should know the programming, nothing else. Only the programming you should know, nothing else. Clear? So, end of the day, functions also will give you a set of rows, right? Because function is nothing but a query, right? Function is nothing but a query. Either you write a query or you write a program. So it may give you single value like seat number, or it may give you set of rows from the table. So view also will give you a lot of data from the table. And either it may give you a single value or multiple values. So, but the procedures can do insert, update, delete, read the data. So a lot of things it can do. But function can read the data from the table. You cannot write the data into the table with the help of a function. So people would ask you all these things clearly. What is the minus point of the functions? Function do not have output parameter. Function cannot insert the data. Function cannot update the data directly. So inside a function body we cannot have. But functions can be called as part of insert, update, delete statement. Clear? So in your programming, so when you go for the company, so you will see maximum times. So when you take views, right, and stored proc and functions, I told many times, views are only 5 to 10%. Okay, 10% you can have the views in your database. 80% of the time you have what? You have only the stored proc, and this is also 10%. Clear? So I told you already, stored procedure is elder brother, and view and a functions are younger brother. Clear? So stored proc always, okay? Stored proc can call a view, and stored proc can call a function. I told you already this. But view cannot call a stored proc. Function cannot call a stored proc. Okay, but stored proc is a bigger brother, younger brother. He is going to be always using. You can create a view. The view you can use inside a stored proc. You can create a function. The function a stored proc can call, but not the vice versa, right? So maximum time in your programming, you will be assigned with this stored proc. As soon as you join the company, they'll ask you, do you know how to write a stored procedure? Do you know what is the input parameter? Do you know what is a try catch block? Do you know what is the output parameter? Do you know how to use debug the stored proc? Do you know how to use error handling in stored procedure? If that is the case, then you can come and join our company. Clear? Clear? So that is how the companies are going to be asking you. Companies are going to be recruiting you. So you need to have a lot of programming, simple programming you should know. If you're weak in programming, I told you to watch C language, at least 20 classes from YouTube. Very, very basic of C language. You read how to write a program, and how to declare a variable, how to get a logic. So you better practice there at least some 20-30 classes daily, half an hour, 20-30 minutes you spend. You can understand the programming. If you understand the programming, writing a stored procedure is very, very easy. It is not very complex at all. Clear, guys? Many people come and say me, sir, I'm weak in programming. You are not weak in programming because you're a non-IT guy. You need to put more efforts. That's it, nothing else. You need to put more efforts. Clear? Thank you, guys.